Hey there, it's Scott Dickers of howtowritefunny.com, here live on the various platforms, and going to do a little impromptu critiquing of some work this evening. I've got a couple of people sent me in some comedy that they're working on. I've got a piece from Jacob, who is looking to get something in McSweeney's, and I've got a piece from Justin. Oh, no, Justin wants to get into McSweeney's. Jacob, not sure what he's hoping to do with that, but we'll look at both of them and give you guys some critique, and hopefully that helps you. And guys, if you're watching, feel free to leave a comment. Anyone else who's watching, if you want to leave a comment on this material too, that would be of great help to Jacob and Justin, who have been brave enough to put their stuff out there and have it be read and critiqued in a public forum on a live video. This is super helpful. This is how you can spot someone who's going places in comedy. Are they willing to put themselves out there to get critique and be very exposed and very vulnerable? And, you know, the world may hate it and the world may love it, but the important thing is they put it out there. They're going to get that information. It's science. That kind of feedback is like such valuable data that you then use it. Oh, hey, Jacob, you're looking to, so both of these people are looking to submit to McSweeney's. That's great. And this is how you do it. So you put yourself out there, you get a critique. And again, anyone else who's watching wants to give a critique of the material that we're going to go through, you are welcome to do so. Let's get cracking. Let's jump right into it. We'll start with, I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to start with, I've never shared my screen on this before. We're going to see how it works. Entire screen, share. Yeah, it's fine. It won't let me. Oh, no, I have to select it, then it lets me. And, oh, that's funny. Why the feedback? I don't understand. Oh, do I remove? And I'm going to bring myself back. If you lost me, I think you should have me back now. So I'm going to share my screen again. Sorry, this technology is new to me, so I know what happened. I think I accidentally turned myself off. So I'm back, and we're going to look at this article from Justin, which is right here. And it is, why don't you move out of your parents' house already? Bingo. Thank you for the report, Justin. And so this is a listicle. And right off the bat, before I even start reading, I want to say that it's a wonderfully unique format for a listicle. It's not just the standard list. It's not a slideshow. I have never seen, and maybe it's been done, but I've never seen it, a listicle in the format of a bingo board. So right off the bat, you've got something unique going for you, and let's see how it goes. Under 25 when the pandemic hit. Student loans. You believed your parents when they said you're always welcome here. The city you want to move to has a $2,400 average rent and a $12 minimum wage. Refuse to invest in crypto on principle. Can't get a job without experience. Can't get experience without a job. Too shy for any other roommates. Landlord wants a steady income and references that aren't your parents. Never more than $2,000 in the bank on a good day. Job listing that says entry level, 5 years experience minimum. Under 35 when the pandemic hit. No one told you college doesn't guarantee a job. Middle square, free space, liberal arts degree. You spend entire days thinking about going off grid and solving the climate crisis. Oh, what did I say? You believed your parents and they said you're, oh, sorry, you're just saying that's a funny joke. Thank you, Jacob. Next joke. You've spent entire days thinking about going off the grid and solving the climate crisis, invested in crypto out of desperation, went broke a week later. I see now that I might have been better off reading down and over. Just not the way you read, but maybe I don't play bingo, so maybe that's the way you read a bingo board. I don't know. OnlyFans page failed to take off. Those loans are for students. Too many people's parents pay their rent. I won't be another statistic. Parents won't let you start out homeless and figure it out from there. Went broke a week after investing in crypto. Not a boomer. Hoping for news, mysterious rich uncle died and left you in his will. Found out Beanie Babies don't count toward the child tax credit. Any place that looks affordable also looks like the setting of multiple double homicides. The depression of achieving a bingo on this card makes you feel unmotivated. All right. Thank you again, Justin, for putting yourself out there. My critique of this piece, again, it's a very unique format. I think that's great. It allows certain runners, like each one of these columns is a runner. So every time you get to O, you get a joke about crypto. So it's like you hear the joke, then you do a few other jokes, and you come back. That's kind of a nice way to build in like basically 5 automatic runners in a piece. And the main overarching critique I have of this piece is that aside from the fact that the format is really unique, I feel like the individual jokes need to be stronger. So the actual lines. So right now they mostly rely on the reference funny filter. So they're all things that people who are living with their parents, or people who are living with their parents are just aware of that situation, you're going to get these jokes because they're real life situations, whatever. There's no hyperbole. There's a little bit of irony sprinkled in there. There's certainly some character. And you've got the archetype of, not exactly the slob, but sort of like the loser, I guess, working for you. But you could really expand the power, the humor punch of this, definitely by incorporating some hyperbole. And think of some of the other funny filters that you could use in here too. Like, is there an analogy joke you could make? Is there a way you can introduce some mild shock? The jokes, are all pretty like C+ level and pretty decent reference jokes. But despite the format, ultimately what a listicle is going to be is a list of jokes. So at the end of the day, those jokes got to be funny. And there's a lot of them here, so it's a tall order. But the way to do that is to come up with a ton, get feedback on them, and pick the best ones. Having said that, because the format is so unique, I think it's possible that this could land somewhere. I don't know about McSweeney's. I don't know if they would do this type of radical departure from their format. Their format seems so married to that prose style. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they've done things that have been, layout dependent in the past. I'm not sure. But thank you so much for submitting that, Justin. Good luck with it. I hope that is helpful. Again, anyone else watching this, if you have comments for Justin on the piece, please leave that in the comments. I'm sure he would greatly appreciate it. And I'm back. And now I'm going to move on to our second piece, which is by Jacob, and it is an article called A Stormtrooper Interview. So let me share my screen again. It's so funny how when you share the screen on this thing, you get the zany feedback screen for a second. You're welcome, Justin. Look at that feedback. It's crazy. All right. Rodrigo, you want to know if you can participate / send in work? Yeah, if you want to send something in the chat, I mean, I guess if you email it, I might get it. This computer is funky with that email account. But if it's short enough, you can put it in the comments. Yeah, put it in the comments. I'll read it. Otherwise, you can try my email, scott@howtowritefunny.com, and see how it goes. That feedback looks like the Bo Burnham bit. Oh, yeah, that Bo Burnham bit from his latest pandemic special. Yes, that was a great bit. All right, so we're reading this piece. A Stormtrooper Interview. Hello there, TK421. We are thrilled that you would consider partnering with the Imperial Death Star in our ongoing mission to build a stronger, better galaxy. We have just a few questions for you. Have you ever missed a target firing at point blank range? As members of the most elite military in the galaxy, it's crucial that you are able to fire a blaster effectively. All right, I'm not sure. Oh, I get it. Many soldiers, unfortunately, tend to fire repeatedly at protagonists and miss them completely. We are looking for soldiers that don't just fire shots to provide the illusion of danger. We need someone who may actually hit their target every once in a blue moon. Tell us of a time when you weren't outsmarted by a teenager with no formal education. This may seem random, but believe me, it will come up. Teenagers from distant desert planets regularly throw in their lot with senior citizen wizards and try to infiltrate our top secret base. Do you have what it takes to outmaneuver children with little to no military training? Okay, I'm extremely confused by this format. So, Justin, I assume this is Jacob, this is your piece. Boy, I'm really getting you guys confused. I thought, since there was italics and non-italics, that the non-italics would be the interviewer and the italics would be the interviewee. That would be the simple way to do it, and that's what I would expect if I saw this format. But the italics sound like the interviewee also. I'm sorry, the interviewer also. It all sounds like the interviewer. So I'm very confused about what's happening. I thought the italics was going to be the answers. So maybe if you're watching Jacob, and you can put it in the comments what is happening. Maybe I'm just getting it wrong. Yeah, so it's all interviewer. How is this an interview if it's all interviewer? Yeah, Justin, you must always be introducing yourself to people saying, I'm Jacob. I mean, Justin. I'm going to keep reading, though, because ultimately that's an easy fix. This is about the jokes. Teenagers from distant desert planets regularly throw in their lot with senior citizen wizards and try to infiltrate our top secret base. Do you have what it takes to outmaneuver children with little to no military training? This position may call for some rapid costume changes, all black attire if you're flying a TIE fighter, little white kilts if you're going to a snow planet, things like that. Are you able to change and adapt to new merchandising opportunities? Oh, yeah, Jacob, great note. The title is everything, and we'll talk about that at the end. But really, the title can make or break a piece, and we see that in action now. I'll keep reading, and we'll come back to that. Are you able to change and adapt to new merchandising opportunities? How do you handle high-pressure situations? Here at the Imperial Death Star, we have the honor of serving under Lord Vader himself. This means that you may at times report directly to the Dark Lord himself. Do you have a tendency to choke under pressure? Tell us about a time when you did find the droids you were looking for. Of course, we need someone totally void of empathy. We're looking for the type of guy who watches a movie about a porg with cancer and roots for the cancer. You know, are you comfortable killing men, women, children, and surprisingly resilient teddy bears? And yes, the teddy bears will come up. I want to stress that. Killing teddy bears. Any qualms? I see you have a lot of public speaking experience. This is crucial for this position. We'll often need you to say, hey, or close the blast doors, and then open the blast doors. Maybe even an occasional blast them, which is always fun. This is a fully remote battle station position. Does this work for you? By remote, I mean we will be several hundred light years away from any civilians so we can do our work away from the prying eyes of rebel scum. Impressive, most impressive. I will touch base with my manager and we will get back to you in the next 7 cycles. But between you and me, I think you've got a long and fruitful future here at the Galactic Empire. At least as long as a small group of ragtag rebels doesn't discover one fatal flaw in our battle station. But come on, how likely is that? All right. Nice work, Jacob, right? This is Jacob's piece. I think I'm right this time. A lot of good Star Wars references. Again, this is mostly reference humor, a little bit of character humor because you've got the character of the Stormtrooper, character we all know. And the title, A Stormtrooper Interview, is very problematic. You need a funny title on a piece. Even your suggested change, Stormtrooper's interview questions, is not funny. So I'm going to go back to... I just stopped sharing. That's how I do it. Even your replacement title, Stormtrooper Interview Questions, doesn't have a joke in it. And a comedy piece has to have a joke in the title because that's going to get an audience chuckling already when they just see the title, and it's going to entice them to want to read the piece. If the title is just flat, Stormtrooper Interview Questions, it's kind of intriguing, you know? It's like, oh, I kind of like Star Wars. I might want to see this. Probably going to be funny. That's fine. But if it's laugh out loud, if you write a ton of headline ideas about Stormtrooper interview, how would you title a Stormtrooper interview question piece? Could you have it be, a section, a quote from a Stormtrooper that makes it obvious that it's a Stormtrooper? Could you make it some sort of, Imperial Death Star HR manual? And have the title be very bureaucratic and make it be very clear that that's what it is. There's a number of different things you could do. The point is that the title has to be really funny. But more than that, the title has to explain what we're about to see. It has to put in mind of the reader, okay, what kind of comedy is this going to be? What should I expect? When you are a reader and you see the headline or title of a comedy piece, you're doing a lot of prejudging. You're prejudging whether you like this type of comedy. What are the funny filters in the headline? You can expect more of those in the piece, whatever they are. What is the subject matter? And then the reader is going to imagine what they think the take is going to be. What's the writer's take going to be? And they're going to have hopes, especially if they find the headline funny. They're going to have certain hopes and expectations about that piece. And it's all going to be subconscious, all going to happen in a split second, but they're going to have in their head the image of the perfect piece. When they see that headline, they go, oh, I can't wait to read that. It's going to be really funny. And they haven't composed any of the jokes, but they're just thinking that. So you have to do your best this is a tough job of a comedy writer. You have to deliver that expectation that reader has, and you have to outpace them. You have to be smarter, further ahead than them, and you have to give them something funnier than what they expect. So that's headlines. That's very important. As for the piece, again, a lot of pretty decent, funny, like Star Wars references, pretty decent character of a Stormtrooper who's not even depicted in the piece. It's just, you imagine the life of a typical Stormtrooper based on this job, and we're getting a peek inside. So I suppose the Empire is another character, the Imperial bureaucrat. But this is not the take that I would have done for this piece if I were doing a piece that was, a stormtrooper interview type piece. As I said in the beginning, when I started reading it, I definitely would have done a question answer thing, because that's what the reader expects when they see stormtrooper interview. If you're going to have it just be stormtrooper interview questions, then I think that becomes more complicated, and you have to couch it in some sort of Empire HR thing. Otherwise, like, what's the rationale? Every piece has to have a reason to exist. So it's like, why are we reading this? What is this? How did we get this? And I grant you, doing the stormtrooper interview, like as a sketch, is harder, because you then have to come up with answers for these questions. But I have an idea for that, and I got the idea from reading the piece. So if I were going to assign a rewrite of this piece, what I would suggest is zero in on a particular failing of stormtroopers. The very first question in the piece, I'm going to go back to it here for a second, was the question about the not being able to fire. So stormtroopers aren't very good shots. Hold on, where am I? Okay, I got the feedback again. And it would have been okay if the whole piece was just drilling down on that, where we escalated that. And the interviewer would say things like, we really are trying to improve our marksmanship. This is a key point for us. How are you at shooting Jawas? And then use some of the lines in the movie, which you do very well throughout this, but just on that specific issue, use some lines about, we want to live up to the reputation of having blast marks that are too accurate for mere sand people, or, something like that. But anyway, you're going to brainstorm jokes to escalate on that. But I wouldn't recommend that, because that joke has been done. The joke that stormtroopers can't fire, even though in Star Wars the reputation is established that they are very accurate with the blasters. So you introduce a lot of other character traits and references about the stormtroopers. I'm going to share again. I'm going to go back to the piece. But, oh, here we go. It's such a process to share. So the idea of having to face a teenager with no training from a desert planet, that's fairly new. I don't know that I've heard that. There's the joke about Lord Vader and do you have a tendency to choke under pressure? That's a wordplay joke. It's off take. So that joke doesn't work. Every joke in a piece has to be on take. It has to be part of the same narrow focus, as you say. Yes, Jacob. That's what makes a comedy piece. And you have to aggressively and relentlessly stay on that narrow track. That's what the reader wants. They want to see how much hay you can make being on the most narrow little tightrope of a comedy through line. For me, the funny part happened with the Ewoks, when it was about teddy bears, and the Empire is secretly terrified of teddy bears. It's not something I've seen done now. Granted, I have not been exposed to every Star Wars trope, parody, or article by every Star Wars fan. But I feel like if you drilled in on that, you would reveal the sheer desperate insecurity of the interviewer about Ewoks and about these little fuzzy teddy bears, which may seem harmless at first, but just a small band of them can bring down the entire empire. You wouldn't come out and say it like that, but that's the subtext, where they would be clearly sort of hung up on that issue. And every question they ask is about, do small furry creatures, frighten you? What about if they have a cute voice? What if their weapons are made of wood? What if they're, the points on the sticks might be sharp? And just drill down on that one thing. And the key to making that work is don't ever mention Ewoks. Don't ever mention the issue. Don't ever mention the plot of Return of the Jedi. Just focus on that one narrow thing relentlessly. And then if you make it an interview back and forth, like a sketch, then you have something building, and you have a straight person and a comedy person. So the interviewee is the straight person. And they're sort of saying, oh, I think I could, probably dispatch a small furry creature pretty easily. And then the interviewer would be like, no, you don't understand. Like, what if there were 3 of them, and they, what if they squeaked really loud, or whatever. Really build up the tension between those 2 things, where you can clearly tell the interviewer is terrified of the Ewoks bringing down the Empire again, and the cadet or the interviewee is sort of the straight person who's like, I don't see the problem. It shouldn't be that big of a problem. And see where that goes. Just start writing out the dialogue, and then going through and editing it and finessing it, so that you're only using the funniest possible jokes within that take. So that would be my suggestion for that one. And, that could certainly work with McSweeney's. And there's probably some, Star Wars humor blog that would run that too. And maybe those people would pay. When George Lucas put out, I think it was the first trilogy on DVD, when they first were doing that, they were all excited about like the storage capacity of DVDs. Maybe it was the Blu-ray. I can't remember. But they actually selected a very small handful of Star Wars parodies that fans had done, and they included them on the disc. Huge exposure for those people. And I had a movie that I was the star of that actually was a finalist for that. That's how I know about this. I made a movie called A Letter to George Lucas in 1982 or 3. And it was a home movie about a kid. I played the kid who was just an obsessed fan, couldn't wait for the next Star Wars movie, and was sending George Lucas a letter on film, because he figured that George Lucas, being a filmmaking genius, would understand a film better than a fan letter. And he was basically asking if he could be cast as Darth Vader in the next Star Wars movie. And it didn't happen. It's fine. I got to get that movie on YouTube. It's just buried in some vault somewhere, literally on film, on Super 8 film. But good luck with the piece, Jacob. Nice work. Thank you for sending it in. And thank you, Justin, for sending in your piece on the bingo. Good luck with that one. And hey, really good luck to you both. Again, I admire and appreciate the fact that you guys would put your work out there. And Rodrigo, I didn't hear from you, so I don't think you're going to post anything unless you emailed it. Is that a possibility? Let's see. Nope, I didn't get anything. Next time, hit us up, Rodrigo. I might do this again. This was fun. And you're welcome, Jacob. And hey, everybody else who tuned in, thanks for tuning in. I hope this was valuable to you. If you're working on some comedy and you want some critique, we have a great new feature at How to Write Funny called the Writer's Room now, where when you join, you get to participate in 2 meetings a month. There are Zoom calls where we can workshop the comedy that you're working on, or whatever like comedy struggles you're having trouble, making it in a particular comedy field. We talk about that, and it's a lot of fun. It's great to be in an environment, a community of peers, other people who are just trying to succeed with their comedy. I'll put the link for how to join the Writer's Room under this live video after it's posted, if anybody's interested in checking that out. And for more tips on writing comedy, of course, you can go to howtowritefunny.com, where I've got a ton of free ebooks for you on the basic fundamentals of writing comedy and getting into the habit, so you can start producing more work and coming up with more reliably funny jokes. And of course, if you want to drill down deeper with me, go to the courses page on How to Write Funny. You can take a course with me And I've got books on Amazon. I got a ton of books about how to write comedy. The newest one is How to Write Funny Characters, which talks about the character archetypes that we talked about with these pieces tonight, because they used the character funny filter, and they both used, one of them used an archetype, primarily the Stormtrooper piece. So it's good to always incorporate character archetypes in your work. All right, everybody, have a great night, and I'll see you in the computer. Take care.